sitting on my doorstep, the people's passing by. They're coming back from getting wrecked. Everybody's high. Saturday night, what a bitch, laying on the lawn. The morning comes to bring the switch after the buzz is gone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Addictions, the podcast about addictions. I'm your host, David Wagner. On today's show, we are going to be discussing strategies for staying clean and various aspects of sober living. Now, of these two topics, the latter is the one that really worries me the most on a personal level. Really, I am basically still in recovery from my own opioid addiction, about 10 months in now. And I am very proud of that, but I often worry about, like in the future, what happens if I get into an accident and I really hurt myself and start this whole process all over again. Because that's how I became addicted to opioids in the first place, was through a car accident. And subsequently being prescribed the opioids on a long-term basis. It's just something that I wanted to share and that I often worry about. Fortunately, I'm not really sensitive to triggers like many people can be. If anything, I try my best to avoid them at all costs. It's pretty simple for me. I can handle seeing paraphernalia on television or drug use in news articles and such, but I feel my insensitivity to triggers has to do with the idea that I am passionate about learning about addiction, if that makes any sense. I am sure that I'm not alone in this sort of train of thought, but it is something that concerns me. Opioids are the only thing that I have ever really majorly fell into physical and intense mental addiction and dependence with. Anyways, let's begin by discussing some strategies for staying clean and sober. The first thing that I want to talk about is counseling in groups like AA or NA, Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. Now, my hang-ups with NA and AA are really quite simple to understand, and I'm not trying to offend anyone with this. I know for a fact that these programs, NA and AA and the 12-step lifestyle, work for many people, and that is fantastic. That's awesome. I applaud them for that. But I have also heard a lot of pretty rough judgment from people who have been in these exact programs. Mainly this, that in any other area of medicine, if your doctor told you that to fix your heart disease, your only cure or option was to surrender to a higher power, you would probably seek a second opinion, and possibly even sue that doctor for malpractice. Another issue that I have with these sorts of programs is that they often expect far too much from those in recovery. For example, most NA and AA programs require you to start off with 90 and 90. This means 90 meetings in 90 days. Now, during my time as a functional opioid addict, there was no way that I could afford to take that much time off of work to even do the meetings. I have to have a job, period. I have bills to pay, and if they are not paid, I would be out on my ass in the streets. So again, I'm probably not going to be able to do that 90 meetings in 90 days thing. And again, I'm sure that I'm not alone here. I'm sure lots of people are in that type of situation. And I'm not saying that these programs are totally useless. It's just that for some people, these programs are just not feasible in even the slightest manner. However, there are counseling programs out there that can work with you on your time and often have higher success rates than NA or AA programs. These alternative programs are, however, often difficult to find, let alone get your medical insurance to cover, if you're even lucky enough to have medical insurance. But there are bright spots. Practicing mindfulness has been scientifically proven to help with mood and anxiety and allows us to really live in the moment. It also improves our abilities to recognize when temptations to use are present. Among the many benefits of practicing mindfulness are things like stress relief, which during addiction recovery can be a total lifesaver. Mindfulness is something that takes practice and involves focusing on the now and being present, so to speak, in the moment, rather than worrying so much about the future. Try to focus on the good and even the bad moments in life, because life is a journey, a learning experience from beginning to end, and the only reward is the experience, the journey itself. Another and one of my favorite tools in the Addiction Recovery Toolkit is staying busy and reclaiming the hobbies that you once loved and enjoyed. And as a matter of fact, I have a great example that I can share with you about this. And this would be that for a long time in the rock band that I play music in, I always thought that our music sounded better because I was high all the time on opioids. But really, it was just shit. But since I got clean from opioids and really started working on improving my ability in the band, I now realize how clouded the drugs were making me, and I now enjoy playing music sober, and I'll never go back. So whatever your passion is, stay busy with it during your recovery from addiction, or even find some new hobbies to get involved with. Make it your passion. Find your passion. This will in turn help to keep you active, busy, and away from the temptation of going back to using. Whatever it is that you loved to do before your addiction, just take it back. Exercise and being physically active, even for just 20 to 30 minutes a day, can really help during your recovery from addiction also. And we have talked about this many times before, how exercising can cause the human brain to release natural feel-good chemicals called endorphins. And these endorphins are scientifically proven to help reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. And in my opinion, those are the three symptoms that are like the biggest and worst of the long-term post-acute withdrawal symptoms out there. So you can really see how daily physical activity can really help during your recovery from addiction. Our next topic is about sober living, and I'm talking years down the line after recovery is pretty well complete and one has a large number of years sober under their belt. How do you keep it up? Are there ever temptations? Do you still think about it, or is it almost second nature not to? There are many questions that I have on this subject, and actually, I'm currently looking for guests for an upcoming episode of the show that I'm going to be doing on sober living. My main thoughts in a nutshell are this. There are those of us who genuinely want to quit our addictions and never look back. And then there are those who are just not ready for whatever reason. And I feel like those of us who truly 100% want to get clean and stay clean will do exactly that. But again, if you have stories of long-term sobriety, we would love to share them on an upcoming episode. So send your stories to theaddictionspodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's theaddictionspodcast@gmail.com, and we will be sure and let you know if we are going to feature your story. Thank you in advance. If you really like the show, be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/addictionspodcast. You can also find the Addictions Podcast on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @addictionscast. And if you really love the show and really want to help support what we do, visit www.patreon.com/addictions to learn more. Again, that's patreon.com/addictions. We have all sorts of perks and bonus materials for those who choose to support us. So thanks again. You have been listening to Addictions, the podcast about addictions. I'm David Wagner. Thanks for listening, and never quit quitting.
Sundays you prayed Uncle John. Poisoned yourself last night. Mary slapped your friend Tom. You got in a hell of a fight. Monday comes and it's back to work. The week seems so damn long. the book.